Hi everyone, welcome to Transition, Orienteering the Land Succession. We're now getting very close to the end. We are stepping into the land of business, chapter 10. As usual, you'll see coming up on the screen the orienteering map. Goals, family, legacy, wealth. We're now into the land of business. Business and wealth are very much tied together in the sense that business is often one of the major assets representing wealth. If we have active businesses and interest in an active business, then the complexity which can come into our succession process begins to escalate to a certain extent. But we need to make sure we get the sense of where to go to in the land of business, align with wealth, but also business extends out from legacy. And you recall that I spoke about it in legacy, the importance of the business and the transition of the business as part of legacy. So that extension from legacy up into business is quite deliberate, and we're going to talk about that a bit further as we go into the land of business. Land of business is often where real wealth lies. The reason why I say that, it can become and often is the engine of wealth. Once businesses have been going for some time, over several generations, you get large portfolios of wealth built outside, multiple businesses, but there's typically a seed, there's typically a starting point, there's simply something which has grown, which has enabled others. The land of business is about recognizing where that engine is, investing in that engine, underpinning the strength of that engine, and therefore the strength of the family and its wealth. The land of business should not be rushed and it should not be assumed. And they're sort of important, they're important statements. A well-established business, a well-established business family, there can be assumptions about what needs to be done. My caution would be, allow the land of business to be an opportunity to drop everything from the past and begin to look purely at the future. And look at the next generation and where they may be able to take the business to, where they could take the business to, where they should take the business to, and where they shouldn't take the business to. So you don't want to bring too many assumptions into the land of business, and you certainly don't want to be rushing through it. You've worked on the goals, you've worked on family, you've worked on legacy, you've done work on wealth, you're now sliding into the land of business, but there's some things in here we really need to get right. We have to get the business ready for transition, no matter what we intend to do. Keep, sell, break it up, whatever. This process of the land of business, of getting the business ready, becomes quite important. And I'll just use a couple of words: continuity and value drivers. They are words we're going to talk about as we lean into the land of business. Three opening thoughts I just want to also just put on the table and have you reflect upon before we step into what is basically our standard approach. Principles, dangers, base camp. What are the three things? A family business is an invaluable asset to the family over generations. Don't look at it as just something to be sold. Don't look at it as something which has a dollar value associated with it. A well-structured, a well-designed, a well-built family business brings the family purpose, unity, and is a wealth generator. Money can't replace any of those. Just think about that for a moment. We spoke about that in legacy. The second one, your business must be evolving and adaptable to the market, to the customers, to the competition, and to your family. The business which you built, the business which may have been passed to you, may not be the business which is right for the next generation. So try again this sense of don't rush, don't assume. Don't just bring it and say, this is what I have, that's what you're going to have. You're going to try and release that. A family business should ignite imagination and entrepreneurship. It should grow leaders in your family. It should establish character. It should establish values and ethics. This is what businesses do. This is what businesses can do and should do. Think about those, please. Our approach, same as always, guiding principles, dangers, base camp, and we start with the journey so far just to get context. Orienteering map. We started in goals. we slid across the family, we're in legacy, we jumped across to wealth, we're now moving back into business. The next land will be decisions, where we pull it all together. And you'll see I've got a little circle down there for start here, just to remind us that there is preparatory work which we had to do to get to here. What we've achieved in each one of the lands, I'm not going to read through that again, but simply say our goals should be clear, they should be evolving, they should be articulated as we go through each one of the lands. Lands of family was to open the connections, to open discussions. We should have created a family charter, we should be articulating that, adding to that, amending to that as we go through, and the family becomes more unified around the succession process. Legacy was our chance to step back and to say, what am I creating for the future, and how do I do that, and where does everyone in the family fit into that and can contribute to that? Not just my thoughts, but the combined thoughts of everyone. We then jumped up into the land of wealth. We pulled all our documentation together. We mapped it out so we have a clear view of what is where, and we've thought about what would be the right approach for sharing this into the future generations. Now we've paused and we've moved across into the land of business. What are the guiding principles? Well, there's only one. It's a bit of a funny one. The one guiding principle in the land of business is price is not first. I'll say that again. Price is not first. Why do I say that? Often succession, when you engage a discussion with someone on a succession, they go straight to, what is my business worth? So little, should be worth a lot more. How do I get more for this? And you begin to go down this path of value, price, and you get locked in it. Let's go get some valuations done. Let's get our accountants in. No. Freeze frame. Leave that. Interesting enough, and again, when you speak to those who have gone through the succession process and you ask them, how important was the value, the price of your businesses? They said, when we first started, I was totally obsessed about it and I was not happy. I was not getting the value I want. But once I began to release that and begin to understand the full scope of the succession, compounding of wealth from generation to generation, ensuring harmony, growth, contribution, then I suddenly realized there's a lot I need to do to actually achieve that, but price is an outcome of something. Don't focus on the price, focus on what's going to give me what I need to have. So price is not first is really just saying that price is an outcome, it's not a catalyst. It's one element of the bigger picture. It requires a much broader consideration, and you will very quickly move past that. Even if you're intending to sell, you understand there's work to be done before that occurs. Expressions, continuity, value drivers. That's the one principle. Don't get locked into discussions and arguments over price. It'll come, it'll be resolved, and there's a much bigger discussion. I just want to say a few more words on that. When I talk about continuity, it is continuity of the business and ongoing jobs for employees. Continuity of the business and ongoing jobs for employees. Why? Because they will underpin the future capital value of your business and therefore influence price. So you can see now I've just stepped that back a bit. Think about continuity of the business. Think about ongoing jobs for employees. What drives that? What makes that happen? And we're about underpinning the capital value of the business. And that business has a significant role in the compounding of wealth for the family across generations. I'm thinking about the future and trying to create some certainty around that. I'm thinking about what actually drives the capital value of the business, beginning to lift those to the surface. I'm thinking about how I grow and invest in those. And I'm thinking about what's the right leadership team and governance structure to allow this to continue. I'm thinking about continuity of the business and ongoing jobs for employees. They're tied, aren't they? They're linked together. And there's just an expression which I'll leave with you, and that expression is capital value lies in certainty. If you're worried about price, if you're thinking about sale price, think of the expression capital value lies in certainty. And what that means is the more certain I am about the ability of the business to continue into the future, to employ the good people, to generate the revenue, to make the profits, and continue to be more and more competitive in the marketplace, then the greater the value will be, the greater the sale price will be. You need to focus on those, and they are just so much embedded in the entire succession process you go through. Just a throwaway question. just as we close out on this principle, it's principle number 8, price is not first. If I ask you to list out what are the capital value drivers of your business now, can you list them? Give me 5. Just do that as an exercise, and later on in our discussion today, we'll come back and look at those. That was the principles. What are the dangers? There's one prime danger in the land of business, quicksand. You'll see that coming up on the map. But I just want to link that back into some dangers which sat into legacy, which was the lost ship and especially the barren lake. Remember, legacy pushes up into business and creates that business for the future. So we'll look at quicksand, but I just want to touch also on those other two, just make sure we recognize that connection. Quicksand, what's the danger? Existing management is unable to surrender past practices and cannot embrace new ways. I built this business over the last 40 years. I know what has made it successful. You just need to continue that. We can all get tied in that in different ways or another. Change is constant. Customers' needs are changing. The people I'm competing with are changing. Technology is changing. Everything's shifting. What I learned and what I did over the last 40 years has allowed me to achieve this. Boom. Well done. Turn. Different leadership team. How are they going to be able to take that foundation and move it forward for another 40 years in a changing marketplace and with different leadership? This is my legacy challenge, isn't it? To transition over to them. Successes sometimes can be the barrier which stifles change. If you think of that life cycle of the business which we had, we're being very successful, we've become matured, we're maybe not looking at the opportunities which could be there, and we're beginning to go down the other side. Often in succession, we're beginning to go down there, and that's why we're thinking about stepping away. Not necessary, but possible. Quicksand. Step away from it. Change is hard, and when combined with the succession process can even be harder for the incumbent generation to surrender past practices and embrace new ways. With an over-eager new generation banging on the door, wanting to try new things. Succession requires the finding of that journey where there is a respect for the past and an adoption of the learning experience while seeking and exploring new paths and practices. It's that blending we need to get because it is about the success of the business in the future, going from the foundation which has been created. Quicksand, that's what it requires. Just kicking back up on the screen at just those two other aspects, the barren lake and the lost ship. I'll start with the lost ship first. If you remember, the lost ship is basically in legacy. Have I created a future leadership team? Have I created a team where I'm giving them the experience, giving them the challenges, building the character, giving them the opportunities to begin to see how they can grow the business in the future? If I haven't done that, then I'm treading on very thin ice, basically. But that steps up then into that barren lake. And the barren lake, if you recall, is about an uncertain future for the business. Have I seeded a business which is able to create its own future? And that comes back to the leadership team. So think of these connections. My leadership team, my future leadership team are not strong. I haven't created a DNA of a business which is continually changing and growing, exploring and stepping out and evolving. And now I'm in the middle of transition and I'm stuck in the ways we used to be before, the quicksand. So there's connections there. And you just need to be conscious of those. So let's leave principles, let's leave dangers. Let's step right into the base camp. Two topics again. Continuity and value drivers are the two things we want to talk about. Continuity represents the ability of the business to thrive. Once you're no longer there, once it's been transitioned. Have I done that? And value means not the sale price, but do I actually understand what drives that value? Do I actually understand the capital value drivers? And we're going to look at that. So we think about continuity. The first of the things we need to address in the base camp, it's about options, it's about leadership, and it's about strategic planning. And the capital value, it's about where value lies. So there's 4 questions which I've crafted to help us just work through these. What are the 4 questions? 1, What is the best option for your business in a succession process to achieve your succession goals? Should I retain it? Should I transition it? Should I sell it? Is there some mix between all of those? What options are there? 2, what is the best business strategy for the business to underpin its future success? What does it need to be in the future to be successful? What will that strategy look like? Question 3, who are the right leaders to deliver this strategy and underpin continuity? And this can become a very challenging question. It's not about, here's my leaders, what can they do? I think we've got to think about, what does the business require in the future to achieve success? Who do I need to bring in as leaders, and how do I grow them into those roles? Legacy. And 4, what are the capital value drivers of your business, and how are you investing in them? Options, strategy, leadership, capital value drivers. 4 questions. To achieve what? To enable the compounding of wealth from generation to generation. You know the narrative: family unity, individual growth, central contribution. So let's look at each of these 4 questions. Question 1. What is the best option for your business in a succession process to achieve your goals, your family goals? Retention, transition, selling, mix of something. And just not a condition, not a caution, but just a heads up. In doing this, the question is, what are my family members saying? I may own the business, I may control the business, I may have created the business, but when we're thinking about succession, when we're thinking about transition, we're talking about the future. And you hear often the expression, it's a statement, I don't think any of my kids are capable of taking this business over. I think I'll just sell it. Okay. Have you talked to them about it? Have you asked them what else they could in actual fact do? What they would like to do with the business? They mightn't want anything to do with the business you've created, but they may see elements of it which they would like to build something into the future. Creating this entrepreneurial spirit in the children, involving them in the business early, allowing them to say what they would like to do, becomes quite important when you're thinking about these options. What are they? I could transfer the whole thing to the next generation. I could divide it up in some parts, and I could transition some, and I could sell off others. They may take elements and multiply them out. Different family members can be involved in different things. Dad, I'd love to be involved in this. Mum, I'd love to be involved in this, but I don't want anything to do with that. You could seed new businesses. You could turn around and say, one of the kids wants to start off something new because of this new technology or this new market opportunity. Let's fund them. Let's seed it. I could go out and acquire a business. I think that's a great business. It fits in well with what we're doing. Let's buy it. We could merge. We could bring in management to run some of the businesses, or lock in the management which are there to run them, and we just own the equity. We retain the equity. We could sell bits and pieces and do all sorts of things. We could do any of those in any combination. How do we decide? Well, 1, what do the family want to do? Give them a chance to explore, to discuss, and tease it out with them. There is a goodness which comes with a family business, I hope, and how can I transition this across the new generation? How can I seed new businesses, new generation? Talk about that. The other aspect is, how do I compound wealth across generations? What is the way in which I can transition the business? So I'm in essence taking the options and I'm comparing them to the goals. And I'm saying to myself, so how well have I designed this business for transition? How do I make it work? What does everyone in the family want to do? One thing I have to say, doing nothing is not an option. Sitting there and just let the business drift on until it gets to the point where you can no longer manage or run it, don't want to, that is not your best option. Doing nothing, never an option. It's question 1. What's the best option for your business in a succession process to achieve your goals? Second one, the business strategy question. What is the right business strategy for your business to underpin its future success? You need to develop a new strategic business plan. I'm not sure whether you do that on a regular ongoing basis. I'm not sure how you articulate your strategy, but you need to do that. And the reason why I say it's a new one is because what you want to do is to bring in the existing management team, the family who are interested, and talk about what could the future hold. Not what we've done in the past, what could the future hold? What are all those options we want to throw on the table? We want to draw together basically a blending of the existing and the new thinking. We want to capture the passions and the inspiration of the new generation and the existing generation. We want to blend that together into something, create a new level of excitement. Our strategy is how we intend to compete to remain successful, more successful in markets which are evolving and chasing and looking at new opportunities as well. If you haven't developed a new strategic plan, if you haven't engaged the wider family and your management team, your leadership in this discussion about what is possible, and you're looking at 10, 15, 20 years maybe about where you would like to go to, then you can't really form a view about the business. All you're going to do is transition over what is there or sell it off. So this business strategy part is quite important. If you want to, here, I don't know if you can see that or not, there is a guide which I have. I will maybe sometime next year break that down into videos, but there's a guide on strategy play which will walk you through how to develop your strategic plan in a process and a model which you probably haven't done before. That was the second question. What's the right business strategy for your business to underpin future success and to achieve the legacy which you are setting for your business and your family? Question 3. Who are the right leaders to deliver this strategy and underpin continuity? In many succession processes, it is who from that next generation is going to be the next CEO. Fine, understand that, accept that. I spin the question a bit and I say, that's good. What is the strategy they'll need to deliver? How do I need to support them to allow them to do that strategy? And if you remember in Legacy, we talked about who might this new CEO be? What support structure in terms of advisory boards could we bring beside them to help them to achieve this? So the question which you're asking here is, who will be able to deliver the strategic plan for your business? From the land of legacy, are we growing this next generation leadership team? We've talked about a strategic plan, we've heard what everybody wants to do, we're forming a view on what's capability is there now, how do we grow that to get them to match? How might the business be multiplied? How might wealth be allocated? Who may be business leaders, who may be family leaders? You can't separate leadership and strategy. They are just linked together. You can't deliver a strategy if you don't have the leaders. So this third question, do I have the right leaders? Have I matched this well? Do I need to invest in growing capability to allow that to occur? I've just kicked up on the screen, just a very simple table which I pulled from one of my other guides. And it's just looking at this question of leadership, which we touched on in the land of legacy. When you think about leaders, you're starting with, in one sense, experience, you're starting with a competency, you're starting with capability, but you come back to the core, who are they as an individual? And there's certain character traits which you want to be embedded in your leadership team. Wisdom, sincerity, humanity, courage, discipline. These are the traits which have got to be there. The ones you don't want to be seeing, recklessness, cowardness, doesn't have the courage to step out, impulsiveness, false pride, weak compassion. So you really, when you're thinking about leadership, you've got to step away from the way we often look at leadership. You've got to step back and say, who is this person in my family business who is going to be leading it forward? If you want to explore this more, I have another video series called The Practice of Non-Greed in Business. There's a video there called Worthy Leadership. It explores this a lot more. But just on that, who's the right leaders, you've got to think a bit deep on this. Fourth question, what are the capital value drivers of your business and what are you doing to invest in them? Your strategic planning, that second question, should be unpacking, should be exploring this. Whether intention is to pass the business in part or full over the family members, to seek an outright sale, to put management and let them run it and hold equity, whatever you're intending to do, building the capital value should always be the prime focus. Building the capital value should always be the prime focus. Capital value is the ability of the business to deliver an enduring income, and capital value lies in certainty. We get a bit lost in this at times. Kicking up on the screen, you'll see this just very simple diagram headed, where does capital value lie? We start, probably the right side for you, I'm looking at the reverse screen. We start here at profit. Often we say, oh, that's my profit. What's the multiple? How much is the business worth? There's your capital value. No. That's an equation. That's an outcome. The question you're trying to ask is, what's allow us to earn that profit? And we then begin to slide back. So, oh, okay, well, I have these assets. I've got this plant, I've got this equipment, I own these properties, I've got this intellectual property. You know, there's a mixture here. Some are tangible, some are intangibles. That's an accountant type of thing. It's a valuation type of thing. That's what generates the profit. Yes, correct. But what's generated those? What do you mean? Well, someone's purchased those properties, someone's created their IP, someone's got the systems and processes, someone's employed the right persons, someone's created the brands, all that sort of thing. What allowed them to do that? Because now you're getting back into what actually drives the capital value. And you'll see, looking at the diagram, there's a language there, a competitive engine. So when I talk about the capital value drivers, and you think about strategy, you're actually going back, going this way probably. We're going from profit back into the things I can see, the things which I can't see but I know there, and I really begin to get into what you may call the true intangibles, but the competitive engine. And I'm not going to spend time on this. Again, that series of non-greed in business videos deals with this. Here's what your competitive engine looked like. It's basically leadership and the relationship they've built with the employee workforce. It's about the purpose and motive they've created. It's how they've seeded that and anchored that in vision and culture. That's the core competitive strength in your business. It's then how you've articulated customer focus and the capabilities to match that. It's then being expressed as a strategy. It's the barriers you've created which stop people from getting rewards, which dilutes the fuel. So in this diagram, as we talk about the capital value drivers, I'm actually encouraging you to get some depth. And you can see now how that competitive engine seeds very much back into leadership. If I don't have the right people building and growing this business, then the compounding of wealth will be challenging. Four questions. What is the best option for your business in the succession process to achieve the succession goals? What is the right business strategy for your business to underpin its future success? Who are the right leaders to deliver this strategy and underpin continuity? What are the capital value drivers of your business, and what are we doing to invest in them? It's four questions we need to answer. And that's the base camp. So as we exit this land of business, the last land before we step into the land of decisions, we're basically saying, so have we formed a view of whether the intent is transition, retain or sell? Have we got agreement upon that in the family? Have we developed that strategic plan, that vision of what we could be in the future, and how does that tie back into what the family want to do? And what our intents are to do with the business? Have we assessed and thought about our leadership team and the ability to deliver on that strategic plan? Are we investing in capability to build that? Have we actually nailed where our true capital value drivers are and how we're going to develop them? And the last one is not there, but I just want to say again, have we thought about the goodness which the family business can bring to the future generations, and are we leaning into that? That is what succession transition is about. Diagram just kicking up, just to close off the land of business. We've done the goals, we've done the family, we've done the legacy, we've done the wealth. We're sitting in the land of business. We're going to try and pull those five together as we step into the land of decision, and to an actual fact, bring it all together so we achieve the goals. We started outside the five lands, we've worked our way through. This last step is pulling it all together and making sure that all the bits and pieces we've discovered and learned and talked about and agreed upon come together as a single outcome. This is the formation of our succession plan, this next step. Again, I thank you for your time, I thank you for your patience, I thank you for your listening, I thank you for your participation. I wish you all the best in the succession process, and I will see you in the final land, Chapter 11, the Land of Decision. Thank you very much. Be well.
Hi everyone, it's Sally here. I work with Richard. You will see coming up on these next 3 slides a URL link to purchase Richard's transition guide, which is a 200-page full-color guide in either spiral-bound printed format or a digital PDF format. or both if you wish, a URL link to the page that contains Richard's blog, a library of over 500 articles on family business succession, business strategy, leadership, growth and competitiveness, which you can access freely. And finally, there is an email address for any questions you may have. These are great resources, and I commend them to you.